Let's just get this thing started. Once again, that sounds like my wife when we're about to have sex. And I know I'm supposed to just say, Bobby, hey, what's up? Welcome to the show. Happy April Fool's Day 2022. I don't think, personally, I ever did that much for April Fool's Day because I like to prank 365 days a year. Speaking of prank, I meant to have the show out early. Not midday on Friday. I know that there are some people that wake and bake, and they just can't wait to listen to this show. So I apologize. So, last night, my mom put my father into hospice, which is probably best. Now, here is something that I did not know. I always thought, and I believe it can be a location, but this is hospice care, and I believe sometimes they leave that part off, the care. And I understand, blah, blah, yada, yada. But actually, someone's going to be coming to their place a few times a week. I was asked if I could come help him shower at least once a week. I said, as long as I can't come up with an excuse, I will be there to do that. Not that I don't want to help. It's just I am still triggered and traumatized from seeing a 90-year-old penis last week. I don't think I need that to be a weekly habit. And you're like, well, bro, TSG, the Stone Genius. Did I even say the name of the podcast at the beginning? I don't know. I'm stoned. Also a genius. Hence the name of the show. I told someone yesterday, though, I was talking about the show, and they go, what's the name of the show? And I go, The Stone Genius. And they go, what do you talk about? I go, stuff about being stoned and stuff about being genius. He goes, are you a genius? I go, not all the time. And he laughed. He goes, you stoned? I just smiled, and he laughed. Hee, we're funny. So, and then I said, good day, officer. Have a nice one. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So my dad went into hospice, which just means he's going to have care until he dies. And my mom, who's 83, and I know, you've been with someone, they've been together over 60 years, so I cannot imagine. I hope I get to find that out, maybe. I always say, due to my parents, that I don't want to get to the age that they are now. At least not in the condition that they are, because they are in... my mom still physically can move around and does very well for 83, which she is bonkers beyond belief. I don't watch much regular TV, and I usually go through the commercials or sometimes pay to not see them or whatever the case may be, but there used to be a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. A cereal, and they had this bird that was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. A, don't know whether they still make commercials like that. And B, I don't know whether you can be cuckoo for anything anymore. I don't know whether that's politically correct to be cuckoo. But my mother is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, which is fine. I do have a picture of her on my phone. When I talk and they're like, what do you mean your mom didn't understand? I'll just show the picture. I'm like, that's the look I get. And everyone's like, oh, okay, we get it now. Let's see. What did I have written down to talk about this week? April Fool's Day, did that. I don't really do anything. I am preparing myself for my surgery. So my surgery will be 2 weeks from yesterday. If you need to be reminded, it is a sex injury. I was just giving a pause there for people that are just now catching up to the show and may have missed the sex injury episode that I tore a ligament in my thumb during a sex act with my wife. And you're like, well, why did you add that you were with Bobby? Because I just want people to know that I wasn't by myself when I did this, that I had a witness. Because that's the thing about my personality, that a lot of times when I say something, everyone just, what? No, dude, you're kidding. They don't believe me. Like when I said our first house in Kansas City, when I tell people that it was haunted, everyone's like, no, it wasn't. They will not believe me. And Bobby will be sitting there, and all she has to do, all Bobby has to say is, no, we did. No, we did. And everyone's like, really? And then then they want to talk to Bobby, not the one who brought up that we had specters in our first house. And to me, they were annoying. And it was funny. Bobby and we had only been together 4 years, about 4 years at this point, when we bought our first house back in Kansas City. We had lived outside of Kansas City for a few years first. And Bobby seemed to be more, I thought she would have trouble. She would not be the one to be I did not think that she was the one to be in a house that's haunted and be like, Like, I always thought she would be the one, something would happen and be like, nope, and just leave. All the possessions left in the house, everything, just take off. Oh, that would be a good story. I should write that down. Sorry, I got to make notes. If I had a producer, they could do this. We had an apartment near us that was abandoned. The person just left, I guess. And I think it would be better, instead of a story that they just left, disappeared, I think that it would be a much better story to say that there were ghosts that drove I think that's what I'm going to do. When people start looking at that place next, I'll be like, well, I just hope you don't run into the same ghosts that were there for the last tenant. What happened to the last tenant? I don't know. We don't know. There was like a vortex. There was a weird blue light one night, and never saw her again. Or him. I think it was a her. I don't even remember. Actually, it was a girl. A female. A woman. I don't know. Whatever. So let's see. What was I talking about before abandonment of... Oh, ghost. Right. So our first house. I had to get up and go to work and be at work like at 5 a.m. for a while back in the day. Not too long after we'd moved back to Kansas City. And I thought that I was always hearing kids. It sounded like kids talking, but you could never understand what they were saying. It just sounded like the timbre of a child's voice. I believe I'm using that correct. I don't know. I'm stoned. What do I know? Anyway, I believe that what I was hearing, it sounded like children's voices, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. So it sounded like they were on the other side of a wall, in a wall. I don't know. And I never wanted to bring it up with Bobby because I thought it would freak her out. Because the first few times it happened, I'm like, why are kids outside at 5 a.m.? And then I would look outside and it'd be pitch black. I would see nothing. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And also, our Dobermans, at least I've always said to Bobby, when Bobby would wake up in the middle of the night and think she heard something, I would look at the dog. And if the dog was asleep, I'd be like, no, you didn't. So I guess I should have taken that into account. The dog never seemed to be bothered by what was going on. But I always thought I heard voices. Well, that does not sound good when I just say that out loud. It's children's voices. That probably makes it worse. I just hear children's voices in my head all the time. And then something, I don't know how, it was just brought up. Have you heard the children's voices or something? It was just said like in passing or whatever, which was kind of odd. And then what happened was lights started going on, never off. I don't ever remember there being an off. I don't ever remember them being helpful to me. Like getting ready to go to bed, but I've left all the lights on and they turn them all off for me. Now I'm pretty OCD about some things, like checking the lights, checking the garage door, making sure it was shut every night, checking the locks and things like that. So I just had, I would know that I had turned off all the lights. It wasn't something like, oh, well, I went to bed and I forgot there was a light on downstairs in the basement or in the living room or a lamp on or the kitchen. That lights are off. It's nighttime, lights are off. I would just go through and I don't know, it's probably grown up a child of the 70s and my parents being insane. However, there were times that we would wake up and lights would be on that we knew were off. Like the bedroom light or like all the lights in the bedroom. And often it would happen when Bobby was out of town. So because the kids were little, and actually there was only Morgan at this time. Trinity hadn't even arrived on the scene yet. She was in this house too, but at this point when we're identifying what was going on. So Bobby went about every other week down to Wichita to see her parents and take Morgan down there. Often I wasn't able to go because her parents don't like me. I'm just kidding. I think they actually liked me then. I probably should have spent more time with them at that point since I spend no time with them now. But I would go to bed and I would wake up and every light would be on. Every lamp would be on. Every light would be on. And I would get so frustrated. And, sometimes, this is back in the 90s, so it's not like I had a phone I could set up or could go buy a camera to see if I sleepwalk or I'm doing this myself or something like that. Because if I did, I'm not much of a tosser and turner in bed. Unless we're talking sexually. So, like, if I'm sleeping, the dog's the one that messes up the bed, getting under the covers and out of the covers constantly all night long. But, like, if it's just me, and I don't know of the dog, who would I have then? Yeah, she was sleeping with me. But I either got up and turned all the lights on and then got back in bed and perfectly put myself there and didn't mess anything up. I think I actually tried to make some alarms at some point, like something like newspaper by the door, so I would walk across it and crinkle it so I would know in the morning whether it had been stepped on or whether. So I probably, now that I'm saying all this out loud, was a real complete. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this out loud. Anyway, the lights would just always come on. And that was it. And then where we live now, we moved into an apartment a few years ago, which is an older apartment. And we were told when we moved in here, because we were going to be here for a year and then we were moving on. This was a transitional place for us. I say 5 years later. So this transitional place, when we moved in, people said, well, like everyone I talked to had lived here forever. And they go, well, most of the residents here move feet first or go out feet first, meaning they're dead. And I just assumed that they lived here so long that they died of natural causes and were taken out feet first. Evidently, we have a serial killer that's killing people in this apartment complex. With old age. I don't know. I'm just kidding. That would be funnier, though. Because we just assumed that they meant old age. And that would have been funny if the person telling us that people went out feet first was the murderer. That would have been ironic. I don't know. If you don't know, I took a hit on my pen a few minutes ago, and I'm feeling it. Dry mouth. Something Bobby loves so much. And she can't say that either. She can't go, I have dry mouth, because my immediate response is, I can help with that. And if you were unsure of what that was, or if there was an echo because it sounded like I got some feedback there or something, that was me with my ejaculate being cast into my wife's mouth, Bobby's mouth, because she has dry mouth. So if you were not following along, the dry mouth to the that's what that was. So if you're a stoner listening to this, I think a genius may not have known that. Many geniuses, I believe, are virgins. Are VIRGENIUS. I think I just came up with a new word, a VIRGENIUS. Man, see, I'm a VIRGENIUS. No, I'm not. I'm a sluttiness. That doesn't sound good, but I'll take it. Or I'll give it. I thought so I delayed doing this show. I laid in bed for a while this morning. I just didn't feel like it with my dad going to hospice. Not going to hospice, it's just kind of like when people say my dad went to hospice, I don't think anyone a year later has said, God, my dad just ran his first Boston Marathon. That was amazing. So generally it's my dad went into hospice last week. His funeral's tomorrow. I think I started to mention this earlier. My mother still seems, okay, I get it. I understand the irony of me asking my mom a question and not understanding what's happening and me just changing the subject and going off tangent and never going back. I get that. And like I say, I should listen to my own shows so that I could answer or finish some of these statement stories that I started during a podcast. I do understand how ironic that is that a stoner is saying that. But I'm not talking about myself. I was talking about my mom. Let's just focus on her and the things she does wrong. We don't need to focus on anything that I do or say. So let's focus on someone else, not me. Anywho, anyhow, anyway. The ghost at our house. I thought that was something weird. When Bobby says something like that, everyone's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. And then they want to talk to her about it. It's just, let's see. What are things that I've written down? Oh, my surgery. I think I was going to talk about that. I am working out pretty hard right now. And I can't get rid of the boner. And I don't want to go to the emergency room because I know what they'll do. Get it? I'm working out hard right now. Oh, hold on. Anyway, I'm trying to work out because I just work out at home. I basically am doing push-ups, some dumbbell work, body weight exercises, things of that nature for the most part. A lot of the things that I currently do, I will be unable to do after my hand surgery. I will still be able to masturbate because I'm ambidextrous, so that is still on the table for me. And I think if I ask Bobby and give her the patient eyes, I'm a patient, I'm in pain, that she may give me a hand jibber too. So I got that going for me, but I'm afraid that my body is going to change because my body can change drastically over short periods of time. Like I can lose weight fairly drastically, and just like if I stop working out, I believe, and I don't have any scientific data or non-scientific data to back up this statement, but I believe I lose muscle mass and definition quicker than the average person. I have nothing to back that statement up. That is just my personal belief. Some people believe that the election was stolen. I believe that my muscle mass disappears quicker than normal. And I don't believe the former, just the latter, that my muscle mass disappears. So I'm concerned. So I do a lot of selfies anyway. I have talked about this before. Oh, I want to talk about a show. I don't even know the name of the show. I'll have to look it up. It was on Netflix, maybe. Yes, Netflix. And it was about sexuality, but more specifically woman's sexuality, I believe, because they haven't had a single man on here, which is fine. Because as a man, I will tell you, you should watch the show too. And if you think you know what you're doing, okay. Let me speak to whoever you're doing it to. And we'll see if you know what you're doing. I have not ever had. I have never shied away from a conversation about sex, but this show even opened up some things that I'd even like. Here was a question that literally, I was high then, I'm high now, that kicked me in the nuts, figuratively. I know that's a thing for some guys, not me. Like, if someone kicked me in the nuts, I would not be like, oh, it's so good. Oh, awesome. I'd be like, why? Why did you do that? Anyway. There are some things that on the show, the question was, what is pleasure? And I thought about that because I was amazed at how simple that question is, but how impactful that was. What is pleasure? And I thought about, because there's a lot of things involved. Like, even a few nights ago, Bobby was just like rubbing my arm, like very lightly. Her fingertips were just running up and down my arm, and it felt amazing. Is that pleasure? I mean, I thought it was. If someone asked me, was that pleasurable? So I've even tried to define it like, and I slept for a good amount of time between the time that we watched this and the time I'm recording this. But I have given it some thought. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if someone wanted a definition of what pleasure is to me. So if I can't even define it myself, how am I going to define it to someone else? And how are they going to be able to interpret that if I can't define it to them? So it was very impactful. I know that sometimes, like, even the anatomy part of it, I was like, what? I mean, yeah. And it was strange. I mean, at 54, I thought that I probably was, I don't know, more in the know, air quotations. But I don't know. But it was a very good and interesting show. It's a limited series, so I don't know where it's going to take us from there. I mean, they were talking about toys and things like that, and I'm not shy to say that Bobby and I have now introduced things into the boudoir. Hi, kids, if you're listening. But this may also sound like a dumb question. Are we even using them correctly? And you're like, I thought you were a genius. Okay, I'm also stoned. But even taking those two things out of the equation, or even factoring those two things into the equation, it's still a question. Yeah, I do. And Bobby and I, on our podcast, The Longest One Night Stand with Bobby and Ro, we had a sex therapist that does the Salty Sex Cast, which is a podcast. And I wanted to have them on to talk about different things. And I didn't think Bobby would be I didn't think she'd be comfortable, but she was part of it. And it ended up being one of my least favorite episodes. And it was more because I felt like it was my fault, that it was more like a therapy session with us, like me saying this, that, and the other, instead of just talking about it as a generality. And that's what this show is about. And I love to learn. I mean, and someone will be like, oh, you're learning about a vagina, are you? Well, yes, I could see why something might grab your attention, especially if it has pictures and video. However, this was different, so it was fun to watch. Let's see. I don't know who that is. Oh my gosh. I love it when I make notes and then I literally have no idea what the note is about. Oh, I was like, JPS. I don't know. It was a comment about Jada Pinkett Smith. I haven't talked about that yet. I am super surprised at how many people think that what Will Smith did was okay. Now, they're idiots, but that's okay. Most of the world, to me, are idiots, so that's all right. It's violence. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want to say. It's violence, and it was fucking words. I'm sorry. Sticks and stones, words never hurt you, that whole thing. Words literally will not hurt you. And you can say, oh, it's going to damage my psyche and stuff. Okay. You know what? If your psyche is that fragile, I get it. There are people out there that get stuff said to them. I am not... I don't want to talk in absolutes because I absolutely don't know. I just to me, words don't hurt. And not everyone's me, and I will not speak to someone else. And if someone else says words hurt me, that's fine. I can interpret that however I want. Because like right now, Amy Schumer is saying that she was triggered and traumatized by the events of the night. I mean, really? You were backstage. I don't believe you saw it because Wanda Sykes, I did read that she didn't see it. She had heard about what had happened and things of that nature with the slap at the Oscars. So it wasn't like she was on stage. It did not happen to her. I get it. I don't get it. I'm not going to say I get it because I don't get it. And I hate people using that word triggered. I'm not a big fan of Amy Schumer's. I'm not a big fan of Will Smith's. I am not a fan at all of Will Smith's after this. Because people do point out that that's pretty ballsy to slap someone, turn your back to them, and walk away. That's when you know that nothing is going to happen to you. You 100% know if you go up and you slap someone and you turn and walk away, you are almost positive that you're going to go unpunished for your actions. Because I will tell you, if someone came up and slapped me, especially for words I said, and they turned and walked away, the next thing that would happen would they get curb stomped. Because you just assaulted me, and I'm not letting you walk away. It's self-defense when I say, open wide. So what a fucker. What a complete motherfucker that guy is. I mean, and I'm not a big fan of Jada Pinkett Smith either. I haven't been. I've always thought that she was she was a douchebag. If you wanted to use a typically male term, what you'd use for males, you'd be like, yeah, that guy's a douchebag. She's a fucking douchebag. She is a female version of a douchebag. She is a douchebag. What I see, and this is what she portrays to the public. I see douchebaggery with her. And for everyone to say she has alopecia, that's who I want to slap. Those are the words. You using those words make me want to slap you. She has alopecia. Alopecia means hair loss. Yes, there are many different types of alopecia. Things can cause alopecia. There could be eating conditions, medical conditions, all these different ones. You know what can cause alopecia? Syphilis. How come no one is talking about whether or not she may perhaps have syphilis? Because that can cause hair loss, which is alopecia. I am just tired of everyone saying alopecia. It's fucking hair loss. That's all that means. And you don't get to come out on a video 2 weeks ago and say, I don't care what anyone thinks about my bald head, and then get upset about a joke about your fucking bald head. What a needy little fucking A. And then for him, seriously. I gotta give it to Chris Rock, man. Wow. Yeah. Especially, and you could tell by his reaction. Reading body language, when he was slapped, if you look at his right hand, it looked like he made a fist and would have come back and punched him, but Will Smith was already turning and walking away. Don't know that for a fact. And what would have happened? No one did shit to Will Smith anyway, and there's rumors that they asked him to leave. He decided not to leave. If that's the truth, fucking huge douchebag. I mean, I already don't like the guy anyway. But could you imagine? And some people will, if anyone says that would be right, regardless of how, let's get past the fucking thing that you're wrong about slap being violence. You're wrong, I'm right. There's no gray area here, fuckers. So let's get past that part. That it's not that the slaps already happened and they've walked away. What would have happened if Chris Rock would have just beat the ever-living shit out of Will Smith? I'm just curious. Like I say, I'm not a fan of Will Smith.
Oh, I'm in the worst shape of my life. I'm gonna get better. Woe is me.
Shut the fuck up. One thing that also happened over the last couple of days is Madison Cawthorn, congressman out of North Carolina, said that he has been invited to orgies, sex parties, and that people are doing copious amounts of cocaine. My word, copious, not his. But there are cocaine happenings. And I've heard that now, like GOP, because it's his own party, because who the fuck is going to invite him from the Democratic Party? I mean, I don't think, first of all, I think people are getting hung up on the cocaine and the orgies. And no one's talking about the lie that anyone would invite him to a party. I have a feeling that if you don't want Madison Cawthorn to go to a party with you, just make sure it's at the end of a long gravel road. You're welcome. Because he's in a wheelchair. And he wouldn't be able to navigate over the gravel, the wheelchair, properly. Then you just ditch him. I'm just going to leave that long pause in there because I don't understand why the GOP, they're so upset about this. They probably should embrace that. That is funny, though. These. So Republicans, the thing I love about Republicans so much is they turn on each other. They want to, in their world, there's only going to be one person standing. I don't understand why they want it to be who they want it to be, but there's only going to be one person standing because they turn on everyone. And you can say, no, they don't. That's fine. If you're a Republican and you literally don't think you're going to turn on someone, fucking tattoo some Republican's name somewhere on your body. It doesn't even have to be visible, but it does have to be big enough that we can call BS on you. Tattoo someone's name to your body that you're so proud that you're in the same party as they are, and see where that is in 6 months or a year or 2 months. I bet last year if you would have said Mitch McConnell, yeah, I'll never turn on Mitch McConnell. I'll never turn on this. I'll never turn on that. Ugh. And then you have the liberals that just want to cancel everyone. That's fine. And the funny thing is that they want to cancel people for once again, the stupidity that many of them, not all, many of them want to cancel people for benign shit. And then like the big shit, they're just like, well, shit happens. This whole slap thing has me triggered. I'm just kidding. What a stupid word that is. Yeah. I'm not sure we make it past 1 or 2 more generations of humanity. At least here in America. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but here in America, I don't see this country lasting more than 1 or 2 more generations. We got some stupid fuckers here. And the problem is we let these stupid fuckers breed, and then we get more stupid fuckers. And you can say, oh, geez, this turned dark, and now he's really talking about stupid people. I am. Think about the stupidest person you know and whether your life would be better without them in your life. That's all I'm saying. Just think about that. Think about the dumbest person you come in a constant, even of infrequent contact with. And just every time you see him, you're like, oh my gosh. There's people like that everywhere. There's an office that I go to. It's a doctor's office. And when I check out, if I have to be checked out by a certain person, I roll my eyes. Because I know it's going to take exponentially longer with this person than it would anyone else on the planet. And it's always the case. And here's the thing. The person is so super sweet and nice. One of the nicest people you'll meet, but that doesn't matter if you're and not even in a hurry. Just need to get somewhere at some point during the rest of your day. It's just, so it would be quicker. My life would probably be more efficient. And that's the thing when people are like, oh, well, they're so nice. Well, they're nice that he doesn't do anything. If someone was, fuck you, here's your receipt. And I'm like, oh, that's all. And they're like, yeah, I'd be like, okay. And I would leave. Even though they said, fuck you, here's your receipt. I don't care. Guess what? Words don't bother me. I still want to see, how about if a word does bother me? How about if I don't even know what that word is yet? Like I just hear it, and it, for whatever reason, it just really, I just want to slap the shit out of someone. Oh, and that's another thing. I was going to mention, if you believe that Will Smith was okay for slapping Chris Rock over words, then you should probably apologize to Chris Brown, because I have a feeling you did not feel the same way with Chris Brown when he slapped someone. And the pushback will be whatever the pushback will be on that. I'm just saying, how do you determine who you can slap then? because that fucker Will Smith, he slapped someone he knew couldn't do anything back. You know what? Maybe for pay-per-view, he should allow Chris Rock to strike him. It can be open-handed. We've seen those slap contests. Maybe that's what they need to do, a slap contest. Because I put my money on Chris Rock because I think Will Smith's a bitch. So that would be cool. I would love to see that. I wonder if I could organize that. I could be the bald Don King, and people are like, I don't know what that means. Well, it means you're under 50 is what that means. If you don't know who Don King is, and I don't know, maybe it's 45. At a certain age, you would know exactly who Don King is. And when I say a bald Don King, those people who know who Don King is are like, yeah, you could be the bald Don King. Because it makes sense. Because the first thing you attribute to Don King was his hair, probably. For me, it was definitely his hair. Don King. That's such a word, Don King. When you're high and you say certain word, Don King. It's like dunking. Something I haven't done in a while. Donuts or basketballs. Oh, that probably deserved one of those. Little late. Ah, well. So you got to decide. No, you don't. Slapping is violence. What Will Smith on so many levels was unacceptable. And that joke was just a bad joke. It was untimely. And you know what? People said shit about, there was the last movie that Chadwick Boseman was in, when no one knew that he had cancer. I believe that one of the co-stars, an older gentleman, and I forget the name of the movie. It was like a Vietnam. It was on Netflix, I think, and I don't remember the name of the movie. Probably a producer would know that shit. And one of the co-stars had mentioned, it seemed like there were a lot of people surrounding Chadwick Boseman. And they thought he was becoming this pompous, arrogant movie star, not knowing that those were doctors and nutritionists, I believe. And people, whoever they were people there to surround him and support him and help him as he was going through this cancer battle that no one knew about. So why wouldn't you go up? Why aren't people pissed at that guy? Well, he said that out loud. That was weird. But it was only weird because you didn't know he was sick. Should Chris Rock have known that she had mentioned that she had alopecia? Maybe. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's a joke. And for anyone, and people keep talking about honor. That's not a thing, people. Honor is something that you have. Someone can't give you honor or take honor away from you. That is something that you have to decide whether you have honor or not whether someone else. So you don't have to defend someone else's honor. That is embarrassing. If anything else, I would be embarrassed not about the slap. I would be embarrassed on so many other levels if I was Will Smith. I mean, there's got to be some stuff going on in their life. Once again, if you're going to slap someone because they said your wife's bald, but you're not going to slap someone who's fucking your wife, I don't know. Maybe you should readjust what you think is a priority. I'm sorry. I don't know if they fucked or not. They were entangled. When I get entangled with my wife, we be fucking. So I'm sorry if I used my words. They were entangled. I don't know if they were naked and penetrating during that entanglement. Just want to make sure I don't get myself in trouble. Like, who's listening anyway? Hey, thanks for making it to 45 minutes. I know it went sideways. I didn't want to talk about the slap. I am so over it. I am so amazed. I'm amazed at how many women thought that he did the right thing to defend her honor. And I was like, wow. Alrighty then. I just, to have people be that so insecure about, I don't know, whatever. I do remember once at a bar, someone said something to Bobby or something, and I don't know how it started, and they go, aren't you going to say something about what I did or said to your wife or something? And I was like, pretty sure she could take you on her own. I don't have to worry about Bobby. If someone is worried about scrapping and fighting, in our family, I'm tied for third. There's a definite first, second, and then I'm tied with one of our children for third in the fighting category. And that's just because of the brittleness that Trinity and I have. Our hands, feet, legs. We would be like, if you were to go, like, walk down the street and see a telephone pole and go up and start punching it, but the telephone pole was semi-mushy, that would be like fighting me. I am immobile. So I'm not the one that you would need to worry about. Like, if this instance, if it was me up for an Academy Award and Bobby there and Chris Rock or whoever up there and said something, and say Bobby went bald, and they said something about that, you sure as shit do not need to worry about me coming up there and smacking you, because she will take care of it. And actually, she would laugh, but there would be a twinkle in her eye, like, when we get alone and there's no cameras around, it's going to be worse than a slap. So I would never worry about me. If Bobby's around, I would not be the concern in a scrap. That is for sure. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Probably not. I am hoping that I will be invited to a cocaine-filled orgy in DC sometime soon. I'm going to have 6 weeks off after my surgery. Now, I do understand that my surgery is because of a sex injury, but I will tell you, if I am invited to a cocaine-fueled sex orgy in DC, cast be damned, I will be there. Yeah. Yeah. I will definitely be there. For the... just to see, just to take it in. So, maybe, fingers crossed. Boner up. Okay, what song am I going to listen to get myself ready for the day? I think I'm going to listen to Morgan Wallen. Yeah. Up, Down. That is always a good song. It's a good Friday song. So my 2 Friday songs I'm going to have today is going to be Up, Down. And then when I get off work later today, it's going to be Johnny Kemp's Just Got Paid. Man, that's a good song. And it's appropriate because just got paid. It's Friday night. Johnny Kemp. Love it. Okay. So Morgan Wallen in the morning, Johnny Kemp in the evening. That's how I'm going to roll with the rest of my day. I hope that everyone has an amazing day. I don't know what's going to happen for next week. I mean, I got a show. I'll have shows for you. I was hoping to do many interviews this weekend, but because I don't have a producer that can be the a-hole. See, and that's the problem also about producing and hosting, is that a producer can be an asshole, or might need to be an asshole to tighten up a schedule or something. Instead of me, who's just like, hey, let me know if you're available on Saturday. Just following up. I got someone that I'm going to interview at this time, so I got this time available. You know, I'm always trying to be nice. And then if it just doesn't happen, then I'll be like, hey, sorry we couldn't connect last week. Let's do it this week. And I'm too nice. Instead of a producer saying, we need to lock this schedule in. When can you be on the show? And then we get a date, or if they go, I can't commit to that now, go, we'll get back to you then. And just go. If I do that, then I'm kind of a dick. And because I don't have a problem I can treat everyone the same. Like I say, every day is different. I could be a total dick to you, or let's take how people interact with me, because sometimes people think it's funny. Sometimes you and I may not get along at all. And then tomorrow, I seem like everything's fine, like it's a new day, but you'll still be harboring, usually, feelings, emotions from the previous day in our interactions. I don't have that. Midnight, reset. I kind of wish it was like Groundhog Day, so I didn't age, and I could learn stuff so that I would know, like, what time to walk by the armored car and they won't see me take the bag of money, like in the movie Groundhog Day. Stuff like that. But it's just, everything resets with me. So I wouldn't have a problem with that, but people would. And then I don't need to have a guest be on the defensive or be guarded when asking questions. So this weekend, at this point, I'm open. So we'll see what happens. And maybe something amazing will happen over the weekend that I'll get to talk about on Monday. I don't know. So that's it. Thank you for listening. I am TSG, better known as the Stone Genius, or my friends call me Ro. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.